job, just doing a short video for you because I feel it's easier. Plus, I'm lazy, don't want to type too much, so um, not today anyway. Why Richard Gage? Richard Gage has been around longer than I've been around, especially in viral media. I'm new. It's been about 8 years for me, with the occasional hiccup. Um, Richard Gage has been doing tours and lectures and interviews since what, 2007, 8, or something like that. And I've been studying the events of September 11th since 2006, right around that time. But I didn't come out to Environment about 10 years, 11 years later. And there was good reasons because I wanted to learn as much as I can before I start spouting off at the mouth about things I don't know. And that's the thing, knowledge. To obtain knowledge takes time. Fact checking involved, number of documents you have to read. And this is the reason why the truth movement was a failure, is because right off the bat, they basically said the US government's involved. So they only looked at evidence that acquiesced to that point. Plus, when you add into the mix about people's ideologies, whether it be race or religion or politics, then it becomes more condensed in the information that you're going to be obtaining. You're not going to look or read about, say, the CIA Inspector General report or the 9/11 Commission report. But yeah, at the same time, the funny thing is that people like Richard Gage will say, oh, the 9/11 Commission report's false. What's false about it? I'm not saying all of it's true, but I would never say it's all false. Say it's incomplete. There's a lot of stuff that's not in it that was omitted, right? But Richard Gage deserves more condemnation than that. It's because Richard Gage actually proposes theories that aren't true, such as no plane hitting the Pentagon. He claims that, well, Flight 70, there's no real evidence the Flight 77 crashed in the Pentagon. Meanwhile, there's overwhelming evidence. In fact, there's more evidence planes crashing in Shanksville, the Pentagon, than he did at the World Trade Center. The only thing is there's video, right? Well, if that's the case, how do we know anything existed before video was invented? By that logic, right? Ridiculous. What did no players really think a plane's going to look like when it's crashing into a wall at 500 miles an hour, carrying 38,000 pounds of fuel? 38,000 gallons, excuse me. No, 38,000 pounds, which I think was 7,000 gallons of fuel. It's a bomb. In fact, the real conspiracy that Gage and all these other people don't want to acknowledge is that conspiracy is that Bin Laden and Al Qaeda have been talking about hijacking airplanes for over 5 years prior to 9/11. FBI knew, State Department knew, FAA knew, INS knew. Any stricter security measures anywhere? No. And then they get caught. Well, I don't know what happened. Maybe we need more manpower. Well, that's what the FBI, CIA, and NSA did at the Joint House Inquiry. We need more money. We need more funding. They did that in 9/11 Commission too. If only we had more personnel, it could have stopped it. By the way, they had the right personnel. They could have stopped it. The information was shared. You'll notice that Gage never talks about any of this because he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. You'd think that a guy who has more years in than me would basically be at Paul Thompson level, who's I consider the greatest researcher in the world. Not active anymore, unfortunately, but he's the guy who wrote the Terror Timeline and created historycommons.org. No, Richard Gage, actually all he does is talk about World Trade Center 7. That's it. Another thing, people like Richard Gage and Rob Balsamo and Jim Fetzer and Alex Jones and Russell Brand, all these 9/11 truthers, Christopher Bolin, Rebecca Roth. Let me ask you something. Loose change, chump change, whatever. Let me ask you something, Josh. Has any one of them ever been to court? Tried to go to court with evidence that they claimed they had? No. Then what are they in this for? If they think that the courts are in on it, if they think that everybody in the intelligence community is in on it, they think the whole entire government's in on it, well, then why even try? That's why. Richard Gage is a grifter. He don't want to work for a living. In fact, in his very first video he ever made, after he got expelled from architects and engineers, he basically said, I declined a six-figure salary to do this full time. That's right. That's what he said. And I have that video, right? You know, I find it to be reprehensible because here's a guy who basically is asking for tens of thousands of dollars in donation money to make a film about a courtroom with evidence that he claims could be used to prosecute. Let me say that again, Josh. He's making a film about being in a courtroom with evidence he claims he has to prosecute people on fictional charges. Why doesn't he just go to court? Why is he making a film about a court with evidence he claims he has? Maybe it's because he doesn't have jack shit and he knows it. But the 9/11 truth movement are led by a bunch of nincompoops. Unfortunately, it's the case. You ever talk to some of these people online? I once gave a 58-minute discussion to two prominent people within architects and engineers. Won't say their names, right? At the end of it, the first question they asked was, can you simplify it? I said I did. Then the next question was, well, this is a little bit too hard because Arab names are hard. That's a wrap. That's a wrap. What they want is, look, building fall, okay, Silverstein, guilty, Israel, no hijackers, play. That's what they sound like, Josh. That's what they sound like. And that's why every anniversary they're on that corner and that group gets smaller and smaller. Some of them have great hearts regarding advocacy. I'll give it to them. I've always said that about Gene Laratondo. But he's following the wrong people. And I think he knows it. But he can't really accept it because he doesn't like us because we're too complex and too argumentative against their crackpot theories. And also, he spent a lot of money on Richard Gage over the years. That's why I hate Richard Gage. I personally hate that guy. Right up there with Alex Jones, Jim Fetzer, and all the other disinformation artists that made money off of this. I'm in this to educate people responsibly about what happened on September 11, 2001, because I believe, Josh, that information belongs in the hands of the people. And that's why you build a real movement, right? An informed public, one giant unit that has a little bit of knowledge about something that could have been prevented and changed the whole world. I'm about a new investigation. I'm about having a new inquiry. And I'm about, you know, getting a court case. Right now, there's better people at it than me that are already bringing up the evidence that I talk about. I'm actually helping with one of the families that were involved in the lawsuit offline, and trying to, give counsel whenever I can. But that's what I'm in this for. Gage claims he's in this for the truth. I'm just asking questions. No, he's not. If he was asking questions, he wouldn't believe half of the shit that he believes. He's looking at stuff that agrees with his worldview. That's where he's at. Ask him anything relating to hijackers. Nothing. Imagine someone telling you that the hijackers aren't important. What's important here are the attacks because the government can make up whatever it wants. Richard Gage actually said that in a question that I gave while he was doing an interview with a notorious crackpot in Art Oliver. So that's why I very much dislike Richard Gage, and I continue to speak out against people like him.